There's something that you need to find and have absolute clarity on before you start writing a book, before you start creating an audio program or standing on stage and speaking or doing a webinar or even recording a video series or any other way that you share your knowledge, your experience, your expertise and your take on it. I know what that is and I'll tell you now. Hi there, my name is Peter Thomson. I'm the UK's most prolific information product creator. And over the last 27 years, I've written a bundle of stuff. Most of it pretty good, some of it awesome, and just occasionally stuff perhaps I might revisit and do again. So, what is this thing that you have to find? Let me tell you, and I'll show you how to find it too. You have to find your authentic voice. Now, I know the word authentic is overused these days. Not to worry, you know exactly what I mean. You need to find your authentic voice. You need to answer this question. Who are you? Simple question, 3 words, who are you? And let me give you some ideas on this. It's going to be really powerful for you. And in a moment or two, I'm going to tell you the outcome of getting this absolutely right and how much easier it makes for you to write any informational product. So, are you a person who's had some sort of results in life? In other words, maybe you've had some successes or failures, by the way, which you can share, but you've had some results whereby you can share these ideas with people. You can tell them what you did and what the outcomes were, what you failed to do and the downsides were, and you can tell people from true experience how they can move forward by doing or avoiding doing the things that you did or didn't do. So you can be a results-driven author. Or you can be somebody who's really good at research. You've done loads of it. You've been online, you've read books, you've attended this and that. You've just really soaked up a load of information, lots of research. So you know from a variety of different sources the actions that somebody needs to take to get the outcomes that they want. And as you've probably heard me say on a previous video, in fact, I think it was the last video, your knowledge, your research, your experience, your expertise becomes powerful, becomes persuasive, and becomes profitable when you divide it into the step-by-step actions somebody needs to take in order to get the outcome they came for in the first place. So that's part of what we do. So having multiple sources of research to be able to say, look, if you do it this way, this happens, is really good. You could be a reporter. You could be somebody like Napoleon Hill, who went round and interviewed successful people. He was funded by Andrew Carnegie. And he went round and interviewed, in fact, it was successful men he interviewed to find out their secrets of success. And from there, he created Think and Grow Rich, which included his take on it. And that's where the power is. Because over time, when you become a reporter and report on things, your credibility rises in alignment with the credibility of the people that you've interviewed. So you can be a reporter really powerful. Of course, you could have a combination of all of these things. Now, it could be that you're simply relatable in the sense that you are believable, you're charming, people like you, people say yes to you, and you're able to relate. You're a storyteller in that sense, as well as being relatable, so you can relate and be relatable, so you're able to share ideas with people in that way. You could be a reference source because of your knowledge, or you could establish yourself as the authority. And as Professor Robert Cialdini says in his books, and he told me when I interviewed him face-to-face in London on his own, I was with him for about half an hour, he was telling me about being authority. And he said there are 3 factors in being an authority figure, and they're these: your title, your trappings, and your clothing. So those would be worth examining to say, well, what is my title? Have I got a title? What's my strapline? That's the same as a title. What do I call myself? You hear me say it in all of these videos, don't you? I talk to you and I say, my name is Peter Thomson. I'm the UK's most prolific information product creator. That's my title. Why? Because it's true. It's true out of all the stuff I made. I know it's more than true, so if you can be more than true. So you could be an authority figure, and of course that title is critical. So title, trappings. What are trappings? Well, trappings are your website. Shouldn't be, but it is. It's your car, it's your clothing, it's your voice almost becomes a trapping, right? So title, trappings, and clothing, how you dress, obviously important stuff. So what we've got to do in establishing this who we are, we've got to make sure that we are being genuine, authentic, and true to our own nature. You know, what was it that Polonius said? And this above all in Shakespeare. This above all to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not be false to any man. Don't normally quote Shakespeare, as you know, but it is so true that we are true to ourselves. And when we are that way, and you gather I've got my notes here, we become convincing. We don't need to convince people. You've heard me say it before. Don't go around trying to convince people. Just be convincing. We become credible. We give people certainty. We become trustworthy in their eyes. And this is produced, I tell you how trust is produced. It's produced by confidence. When people listening to us, reading our material, seeing us on video, listening to us on audio, seeing us on the web, talking to slideshows, wherever it might be, when they have confidence in us and what we're saying, we build trust. And you know what trust does? It builds confidence in them. Isn't that great? Confidence through trust into confidence. Our confidence, mutual trust, their confidence. That's the way that it works. So, when you get this right, let me tell you some of the benefits, and this is what I said I would come to. The benefits of getting this right is that, and I've done myself a little list here, you write with ease, you write with confidence, you write with conviction. Can't you tell it when somebody writes in that way? You write with passion and power and persuasiveness. Isn't that what we want to do when we're writing? And what do they get? They get increased belief. They get inspiration. Remember, you and I can't motivate people. You know, say, Mr. Motivator, you can't motivate other people. Motivation is an inside job with outside consequences. That's what it is. Motivation, I think of motivation as a reflexive verb. It's something you can only do to yourself. You can motivate yourself, you can inspire others. That's the way that works. So they get inspiration from us. They get inspiration to take action. They get results. They get choice. And you know what they get when we're like this? They get the truth. So I think if you will take the time to answer this question based on these ideas that I've shared with you today on who are you? So important. Who are you? When you've got that answer solidly in your psyche as part of who you are at your identity level. Remember, long-term change happens at the identity level. Then writing, whew, does that become easy? Sure does. If you've got any comments, ideas, thoughts you want to add to this, pop them in there. We'll start a conversation going. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click to watch the next video. Remember to visit our website at peterthomson.com and download your free copy of my latest book, How to Write Your Business Book in 5 days or less. Until next time, every success.